So, Saoirse, in another interview, you talked about the emotions you had to portray in this role, both physically but also emotionally. You had to cry. You said you had to cry. You had to hold yourself back from crying. Can you talk about that and how it fit into your life, like on and off the screen?
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time ever for me that I had an experience with a film where I couldn't leave it behind at the end of the day. And I think it was just because emotionally I was going through something very similar, and it's, I guess the best way to describe it is somebody coming up to you, or you reading a book or watching a movie, and then being able to say to you, I know exactly how you feel. This is how you feel, and this is how you feel, and this is how you feel. And it's overwhelming, and it makes you very kind of emotional. And so to be involved in a project like that in a way, even though it really scared me, was something that I needed to go through. It was very important for me. So there were a lot of scenes when it came to the homesickness itself, actually leaving home, your relationship with Ireland in particular, my relationship with my mum and the other women in my life, your first job on your own, or paying for a sandwich, and how I remember when I moved away at first, I would get so anxious about going to the supermarket and things like that, and I would have the exact right amount of change ready to go, so I wasn't kind of caught off guard. And it's little things like that Nick really pinpointed in the script. And so I think just doing that every single day, it made me overwhelmed by it all
Well, and I think that's
sometimes.
a lot of, I think a lot of SCAD students can relate to that feeling of just coming away and being away from home for the first time.
Yeah.
And then to speak on that point, in the trailer it says, home is home,
Yeah.
twice, I think.
Mm.
So what does that mean to you? Home is home.
To me, Emery's character says it when she's contemplating whether to go back home because of this family tragedy that's happened, and he's worried that she'll stay there, because at the end of the day, I know for myself and a lot of people in Ireland, and I'm sure a lot of the students that are at SCAD, and definitely so many people in America can identify with the fact that when you come from someplace else, no matter how kind of hard you fight it, you will always leave a part of you back there. And there's nothing you can do about that, and you can't change it. You just have to adapt to it and grow because of it, and accept that that's the way it is. And so I found that difficult when I moved away, that I knew there was a part of me missing, and there was a part of me that I could only get back if I was back in Ireland. And that would be the same for anyone, I think. So
And the movie is also set in the 1950s. It's a very different time period culturally than it is today. So how do you think that your character would have dealt with that separation in today's society? It'd be so different.
it would be so different. But I did. That's the thing, is that I was going through that separation, and I was lucky, like a lot of kids, we're very lucky that we have technology that helps us out. We're able to see our families and our friends' faces when we leave home. You can connect with them instantly through your phone or your laptop or whatever. We're all so kind of connected to each other, and that does make it easier. Definitely, it's not as kind of definite or finite when you leave. You know what I mean? There's always a chance to go back. There's always planes, all that kind of stuff. But that feeling that you get is still the same. It's still, I think, for her and for anyone around that time that would have taken the boat to go away, especially to actually like stand on a boat and watch your country physically disappear into the distance until it was completely gone. That's awful. That must have, I can't imagine, especially for kids leaving home, I can't imagine what that was like. So of course that's easier now, but I think everyone still gets that feeling. It's universal and it's timeless.
I'd agree. And speaking of that scene on the boat, in the trailer, it's such a short scene, but in that one few seconds, it feels like the whole tone of the movie is set. What went into filming that scene for you?
Do you mean the scene where she waves goodbye
To who I assume is her mother.
to her
Yeah.
mother and her sister? And what went into it?
Yeah, what
Is that
went
you
into
said?
you for you?
Yeah, we actually shot that in Montreal, so that was in the second half of our shoot for us, and Fiona, who played Rose, and Jane, who played my mother, and it came over and flew over for a couple of days to do this. And I think actually it made it even more emotional shooting that scene away from home. Again, we were in a different country. We were on this ship that was like at the dock. We weren't even out at sea or anything like that. And I think the two girls just helped me an awful lot to watch Jane and Fiona's faces, and to see them act out this heartbreak as beautifully as they did. It was just devastating, you know. So I was very lucky. We were all very lucky that we had such great people around us that you could really rely on when it came to properly delivering what you needed to deliver emotionally.
Well, I think is that all the time we have for? Oh, beautiful. So, okay. So let's see. I guess one that I'm curious about is, you said that part was in the middle of your filming. Did you get the whole script and get to look through it as you were doing it, or like read the whole thing and then go to act, or did you get it scene by scene, kind of experiencing it how she would have experienced it in real life?
No, I got the script beforehand. So I had actually read the script about a year before we started shooting and signed up to it. And then, yeah, when we made the film, the script didn't really change that much. We didn't have any kind of new drafts or anything like that. There's some films that you work on where you get a new draft every day and you're down. I mean, the colours, every single time there's a new draft, the colours of the pages change, and all of a sudden you've got like a rainbow book in front of you. We didn't really have that on this, and I think it was just because Nick just really kind of nailed what the heart of this film was, and our spirit in particular, and he's an incredible writer, you know, so there wasn't really much to tinker with once it came to actually shooting. But it was great that, you know, we had rehearsals. We had a director who was incredibly focused and in tune with every single beat. So it meant that even though we didn't shoot in chronological order, we did shoot mainly, mostly out of order. John was always there to go, right, this is what this needs. You know, it was all kind of it was very intimate, and it all felt like you were adding to this bigger journey piece by piece, but there was a grander kind of idea, I think, for what this was. And in that sense, he was such a terrific director because he could see everything. He could see what the film needed to become, but then he was able to kind of hone in on one particular moment and make that work. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to meet with us. And,
Thank you.
Any words of advice you have for any SCAD students? Any quick words of advice?
I think the only thing that one person can probably pass on to another is to just remember why you're doing what you're doing. You know, the one question that you have to ask yourself through your studies and in your work and just in life in general is, am I completely happy doing this? Is this ultimately what I want to do? You know, and it means that your motivation and your energy that you can put into that will never run out because you really believe in it, you know.
Okay, thank you so much, Saoirse.
Thank you.
It was lovely
Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Thank you.